everyone. Hi, everyone. Peace, love, and harmony. How are you today? Thank you so much for joining me. As you know, I'm Marissa Charlotte Presley, and I just want to thank you so much for supporting me in my efforts of making these videos. Thank you so much. I'm going to talk today about a really sensitive topic, one of those topics that we rarely ever discuss because there's just so much stigma, there's so much it's like taboo to talk about this mental illness. And boy, have I had a journey with mental illness and depression, anxiety, panic attacks, post-traumatic stress. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about some of my experiences and what has actually helped me with depression and with controlling my anxiety, because yeah, I still get depressed. I still have anxiety. Yeah, of course I do. However, I don't it doesn't control my life anymore like it used to. In the past, um, being depressed or having anxiety, not only did it control my life, it limited me from having a life. It was, como se dice, what is that word I'm looking for? It was paralyzing my depression. And I mean, I could go way back to when I was 14 years old, when I realized that something was different about me, that I was just not a happy child, was not a happy girl. I wanted to die, like literally. I wanted to die. I thought about ways of ending my life. I plotted ways of ending my life. I thought how cool it would be if I ended my life. And yes, in my lifetime, I have had suicide attempts, which I will talk about in other videos. But today, I just want to talk about some of my experiences. Depression, my depression, and I can only talk about mine, is not like, like when you have nostalgia or when you're feeling nostalgic about something, or melancholic, like Edgar Allan Poe, right? Yeah, you are feeling melancholic, but it's every day and it's all day and it doesn't end. And it's also, it limited me from experiencing joy in my life, even like having my children. My depression limited me from being the great super awesome mom that I knew I could be. Not only that, but then I also suffered from like postpartum depression. So already, if you are going through just depression alone and you have a baby, after the baby, you can go through this many years of postpartum depression or anxiety or both. And a lot of us go through the baby blues. About 80% of us are going to experience baby blues, and that's very common. It's very normal for about 80% of us. But baby blues only last 2 weeks. Like that's it. Then they go away. It's like your body is trying to just recoup from the birthing process. But postpartum depression lasts over 2 weeks, and I didn't get to bond with one of my children for many many years. Yes, today we're bonded, but it was this sadness, this lack of energy, this not wanting to get out of bed, but it was constant in my life. I mean, my 20s, I don't remember really my 20s being joyful. There was a lot of, like I said earlier, sadness, but mostly there was a lot of thoughts of, I just don't want to live. I don't like living. Living sucks. And there were many times where I used to ask my employer for time off, and I would tell everybody that I was going on vacation to Las Vegas, but there was no Las Vegas. I would, my vacation would start. I would lock myself in my apartment, close all the shades, get under the covers, cry, sleep, cry, sleep, cry, sleep, and feel sorry for myself for weeks, like 2 weeks in a row, on and on and on. And there was no one I could talk to. What am I going to say to my colleagues? Yeah, how was Vegas? Oh, actually, I was under the covers feeling sorry for myself. And even family members, when they realize that, hey, something's wrong with you, like, why are you down? And they don't know how to help, right? It's this lack of education on how to help somebody who is mentally ill, like I was. I still consider myself mentally ill. I don't consider myself 100% healed, but I control it now. I control my illness, and I don't control it with any medication. That's just my personal I don't want to have to put any medication into my body. Like, that's just something that I don't want to do. I have had medication introduced to my body, and I'm not sure if it helped or not. So I can't really talk about that because I don't think I stayed on it long enough to give it a chance. But I think there's many cases, when you're talking to your marriage and family therapist or your psychologist, when you have a psychiatrist come in and they do all the blood work and they realize, yeah, indeed you do need to balance off some of the chemicals in your brain, right? Especially, like, boy, if I'm low on oxytocin or serotonin, yeah, give me some chemicals. But I'm at the point right now that I don't really want to manage my mental illness with any medication. That's just me personally. But I do encourage you, and I advocate for anybody that needs it. And especially if the professionals are telling you, hey, like, this is going to help you. I just also believe that it's not just medication that's going to make you feel better. There's not like, oh, here's a magic pill, take it and you're going to feel better. That's just going to be one aspect. What has helped me with my depression, and like I told you, I started feeling like something was wrong when I was 14, but I'm sure that I carried it with me for many years before I even paid attention. And, it stayed with me for many, 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 many years. So probably up until I was in like my early 30s, did I really get a chance to manage my depression. But as soon as I started to manage my depression, I started to have anxiety attacks. That anxiety turned to panic. And so, yeah, it's scary, right? Like, to live that way every single day. And a lot of my family members, they meant well, they wanted to help me, but a lot of them would say like things like, just snap out of it. Or like, let's just get up and go somewhere. You'll feel better once you're there. But it wasn't about me not wanting to get better. It was, I didn't know how to get better. I didn't know that there were tools that could help me. Today, my whole environment is my tool. Like, I have tools everywhere around me that help me, from my prayer beads to my candles to my palo santo, my diffuser with my essential oils, my books, my postcards, my images of Christ, my images of Our Lady of Guadalupe, my images of angels, my pictures of my grandkids, my pictures of my kids. Like, all of that is part of my personal toolbox that has helped me in this journey of healing, because my depression was debilitating. At one point, when I was extremely and severely depressed, I sought help. So I called my provider and they set me up with a therapist right away. And I remember this phone call because I cried so much during this phone call, asking and pleading for help. And this was in the 90s. And I was set up with a male therapist, which, oh my goodness, I was totally against a male therapist. Well, because, a lot of the men in my life had abused me in so many ways that I really didn't trust men, and I wasn't open to the possibility of having a man, be my service provider, especially with mental health. But I was ready to die. I wanted to die. So when my provider said, we have someone that can see you right away, I just went. But I went without a lot of hope. I didn't trust the system. I didn't trust therapists, but I was just looking for whatever I thought was out there that could help me. And guess what? I did cognitive behavioral therapy, which was part of what saved my life. So you're probably asking to yourself, what is cognitive behavioral therapy? Well, the way that I saw it back then, it was that it focused on like my thoughts. It focused on like my beliefs, and it challenged me, and it como se dice, taught me like coping skills, right? And it instead of like focusing on what the problems were in my life, it taught me to like take action about fixing, excuse me, some of those problems, right? I also did group therapy back then, and to this day, I honestly believe that group therapy is like fundamental in the healing process, because I thought I was the only person ever feeling the way that I was feeling, or having these experiences and these thoughts. And when I was, sitting in across the room from me, there was another woman, a young woman my age, in our 20s, that had similar experiences like mine. I was like, whoa, 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 wait, this is something. I'm not crazy. Like, this is really something. So that helped me a lot, talk therapy, but also taking an active role in my in getting better in my healing process. That also helped me a lot. Reading books. I believe that books saved my life. And I have a friend, her name is Rhonda, and she used to give her testimony, her survivorship testimony. And she also used to say, books saved my life. And I was like, oh, ding, 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 ding. Like, yeah, I know what you mean. Books saved my life. I've read everything I could get my hands on about child abuse, about alcoholism, sexual abuse, domestic violence. And then one book led to another, codependency. As a matter of fact, I really want to recommend some of those books, which I will at a later another video. I'm going to recommend some of the books that have helped me in this journey. Also, you know what has helped me? Dancing. You know me, I love dancing. I mean, if you don't know me, I love dancing, and I was actually a really good dancer. I'm not able to dance as much as I used to anymore, but I could clean up that dance floor for sure. What else? Oh, mirror work. Do you know what mirror work is? Is literally standing in front of the mirror saying, I'm beautiful, I'm thin, and I deserve to be loved. Why was I saying in my 20s I'm thin? Because, well, eating disorders also were a part of my life. Um, the other thing that really has helped me in this journey of healing is nature therapy, or some people call it ecotherapy, but being in nature, actually touching the grass with my feet, going to feel the sand, having the waves on my feet, feeling the vitamin D on my face, feeling the wind, looking at trees, hugging trees, talking to birds, looking at the moon, talking to the moon, telling the moon, man, you are beautiful tonight, moon, looking at the hills, right? And check this out. There's actually a study in Denmark. This is like huge. It's one of the biggest studies that Denmark has ever done, because they studied almost 1 million people in Denmark. And and they studied for like long periods of time, from like 1983 to 2003. So, that's a long time. And they studied children that grew up in neighborhoods where they had access to green, like a lot of green space, and these children were at a lower risk of suffering from these depression, anxiety, and all of those psychiatric mental illnesses, right? And they looked at children who did not have access to a lot of green spaces. And the study concluded that 55% of those children that did not have access to green spaces were at a high risk of suffering from mental illness. And you're probably saying to yourself, well, what if I don't have any green spaces around me? Like, I just don't. There's only concrete around me, or and where there's a lot of snow. That's okay, because guess what? The brain doesn't know the difference between what it's seeing on, on an image, or what it's seeing in real life. So you can actually just Google images of nature, pictures of nature. You can look at some of your favorite old photos from some of your vacations. You can look at trees and flowers, birds. Nature is healing. You know what else is really healing? This is like scientifically proven, is if you tell someone. Like, you just tell someone, you talk to someone, you can tell them whatever you want. I've told a lot in my her story, right? I've told a lot of stuff that has happened and that has been done to me, stuff that is really taboo. And I think really, because I've told so much in a lot of my presentations, when I'm visiting a middle school, high school, college, university, or wherever I'm at giving a presentation, I tell so much of my own personal her story, that I'm not carrying that weight on me anymore. I've like released it. I've vomited enough times and got it out of my system, right? And cleansed my system. That's why talk therapy is so like magical, because it is scientifically proven that if you talk to someone, I mean, it doesn't have to be a professional therapist, although I do believe in professional therapists. I think it's genius if you have access to mental health, right? Because it would be like saying, well, I have diabetes, but I'm not going to go see a doctor about it, and I'm not going to take my medicines, and I'm not going to eat well, but you're sick. That's what a mental illness is. It's a sickness. It's going to happen to most of us. Like how many of us, I wrote it down here somewhere, how many of us in just in the United States for depression, it's the numbers are 20 million. This is like the National Institute of Mental Health. 20 million Americans, and those are the Americans that have been diagnosed in the United States of America. And for anxiety, it actually is double at 40 million. So my anxiety, ooh, let me tell you, my anxiety, no, I was fainting. My anxiety was everywhere. If I was taking my child to school, I could pass out right there, dropping off my kid in the playground, in front of the school, in my child's classroom. I could just pass out. Shopping, yes, I could also pass out from my anxiety. Driving, yes, in my 20s, I could also pass out. And, you know, this is like every aspect of my life is being affected, not to mention, socially, because now on top of my anxiety, I have depression. So am I going to be very social? Probably not, right? And if I was social, I put up a mask. It was a front. I wasn't really feeling it, right? And what happens with all of this is that if we don't get help and we don't talk to a professional about it, it's going to stay with us for the rest of our lives, and it's going to limit us from having a healthy lifestyle. Now, I can tell you, I control my anxiety. My anxiety was so bad that the paramedics had to come at one time because I had an anxiety attack that turned to panic. And I was so panicked that the black in my eyes, they turned white. I was shivering and shaking, and my family thought I was dying. I thought I was dying. It was so, so scary. And then, you know what the paramedic did? I was like floored by this. He put like a flashlight in my eyes, right? And then I don't know how he figured this out, but he yelled to the other paramedics waiting in the living room. He yelled, "Classic panic attack." And I was like, "Wait a minute, what? I'm I'm not dying over here." How embarrassing. Oh my God. I just wanted the earth to like, open up and suck me in, because I was so embarrassed that the paramedics were there. I mean, paramedics, ambulance, uniforms, because I was having a panic attack. So, guess what I did? I called all of my friends. Yes, if you were a social worker, if you're a psychiatrist, if you're a psychologist, if you're a marriage and family therapist, if you're a counselor, I called you and I said, "Friend, help me." And there was one friend, one of my bestest friends, my mentor, a woman that I've already talked about in my videos, Dr. Nadia Islam. She is the smartest person I know, for real. Like, she's the most well-read, well-educated person I know. I know she has to like dumb herself down to be around me because she's so smart. But I said to her, "You are my friend, and my life is out of control, and you need to help me." And she gave me a tip, and I'm going to give you the tip that saved my life with anxiety. When anxiety comes and visits and knocks on your door, well, it actually doesn't knock on your door, does it? It just says, "Hey, I'm coming for a visit," whether you like it or not. And your body starts to react. How does your body react? Your palms start to sweat. Your palms start to tingle. The blood from the bottom of your feet to the top of your head rushes really, really fast. And what else? Oh, your heart starts beating really fast. Boom, 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 really fast, right? And what happens next? Your breathing changes. You start to breathe, right? Well, guess what Dr. Nadia Islam told me? She saved my life with this tip. Once your body starts breathing like this, it sends a signal to your brain. And the signal is, oh, girl, you better fight or you better run or you're going to freeze, right? But what are you running from? There's nothing happening. I'm supposed to be getting ready to go see a Luis Miguel concert. Like, what am I going to run from? Nothing is bad. I'm not in danger. There's nobody attacking me. But the anxiety and the panic that I was feeling felt very real to my brain. So my brain starts to get into action. My pupils start to, like, como se dice, like my pupils get really big. My bladder loosens. I start to sweat and I start to get ready for the fight of my life, which there's no fight. So Dr. Nadi Islam just taught me how to slow down my breathing. A lot of us, we don't even know how to breathe. Like, honestly, if you think about it right now, you're probably not even breathing. You're holding your breath right now. So how do we breathe? The oxygen is free. It lives up here and it's free. It doesn't cost money. Like right now, I asked some of my friends and gas is like over $5 a gallon. Ah! No, no, I'm getting myself a bike. No, seriously, I'm biking. But oxygen is free and you take it in through your nostrils, right? And you take it all the way and you fill your lungs. Oh, like Tarzan, fill your lungs. And then once your lungs are filled, take it all the way down to your gut, to your belly, and fill that up with oxygen, right? Watch. And then release. That's really breathing. Now, we can't go around breathing like that all day. That's not normal, but let's be more conscientious of our breathing. Let's keep in mind that breathing is important, right? And that our body needs oxygen. So when I start to feel an anxiety, because I still get anxiety to this day, I can stop it before it gets to the point where I'm out of control. So when do I know how to stop it? My hands start to tingle, my hands start to sweat. I don't even have to wait any further because I know that that's anxiety saying, hey, I'm coming for a visit. So I immediately start to slow down my breathing. That's my tip. I really hope that it helps you. And another tip that I have is talk to someone, is someone that you trust. It could be a coach, it could be a teacher that you trust. Boy, I work with so many teachers, and all of those teachers that I work with, I know all those professors would be there for their students. If you tell your teacher, your professor that you're suffering from anxiety, you're suffering from panic attacks, it just helps to tell someone. They might not have a solution, but just the fact that they listen to you will help. Call a professional. There's a lot of family resource centers in your community. They have professionals at very low cost. There's also clinics, right? Like Pepperdine University has a clinic. The Chicago School of Professional Psychology has a clinic. So look for local clinics. Also, if you want, just dial 211 and they'll set you up with a resource that's in your community. But if you really have no one to turn to, feel free to send me a message and I will be more than happy to just listen to you. I'm not very good at giving advice, so I hope you're not looking for that because I'm not walking in your Vans, I'm not walking in your moccasins. I'm not walking in your high heels. I can't even imagine what you must be going through if you are suffering from anxiety or panic attacks or depression or even, post traumatic stress. But if you are and you're listening to me right now, just send me a message and I'll do my best to be a source of support for you. Okay. I can actively listen to you free of judgment. And I'm also trauma informed. So I won't re traumatize you and I won't re victimize you. So, for all of you out there that are or have suffered from any sort of mental illness, I just applaud you for doing the things that you love and for getting out there and for waking up in the morning and for fighting, really fighting, all of our trauma that we've had in the past and all of our demons. So thank you for that. I wish all of you, every single person that's here with me today, peace, love, and harmony. And I'm here. Okay. I'll see you soon. Thank you so much for joining me. Peace, love, and harmony. Bye.